So I'm Liam Hannon. I'm from the United States of America. I'm 13. I go to the Community Charter School of Cambridge, and the title of my presentation is Liam's Lunches of Love. I'm going to screen share and all right. Okay, so can you see it?
Yeah, we see it fine, Liam.
Yes.
All right. So hi, I'm Liam Hannon. I started Liam's Lunches of Love almost 4 years ago. Liam's Lunches of Love is a nonprofit lunch program that serves people experiencing homelessness in my neighborhood of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Liam's Lunches of Love started, as I said, almost 4 years ago when I didn't want to go to summer camp. My dad told me that I couldn't just stay home and do nothing, so we looked for some ways to help change our neighborhood and the world. One way was that my city's library was having a reading program for the summer, and the reading program was called Build a Better World. Now, all of the books in this program were about people that were changing the world, so that really inspired me to want to help. Another thing was this website called Brain Chase, which Brain Chase is a treasure hunt website where you do academic and productive challenges to get clues to find your treasure that's hidden around the world. One of the challenges that I picked was service. And the first week they said, oh, do something for people experiencing homelessness. My dad thought, why don't we rent a food truck and make lunch for people all over Cambridge and Boston? But I saw a need where people were experiencing homelessness right outside my door. And I said, why don't we make them lunch? So the first week we made 20 lunches and we put them in our tiny garden wagon that we had. And we brought them out and they were gone almost immediately. After we were done handing out lunches, I asked my dad if we could do it again. And he asked me why. I said that it felt really good to help people and brighten their lives. So in the Lunches of Love, we make a homemade lunch, usually a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or sunflower and butter for people with nut allergies, a snack like chips or a granola bar, fruit like an apple or orange, and a water. We then put the lunches in decorated bags that have a positive message on them. These bags come from all over the United States and some from even across the world. We then deliver the lunches with a wagon that we take up and down Massachusetts Avenue, which is the main street in my city. And the two sort of main areas are Central Square and Harvard Square, where a lot of people hang out. Our new wagon that we got in 2018, we were able to get it because a lot of my friends made huge contributions to our GoFundMe because they support and believe in my cause. We raised enough money to purchase our brand new electric wagon to help us deliver more lunches more efficiently. It also gave us the ability to offer different foods. So it's solar powered, it's an electric wagon. We can serve hot food, coffee, tea, drinks. We have an iPad on it that people can use to check their email or messages. And we also have a commissary for supplies that people might need. Some things I've accomplished: we've given out over 10,000 lunches, hundreds of school backpacks with supplies in them, 200 mattresses donated, hundreds of toys for our holiday toy drive. I was a CNN 2018 Young Wonder. I was on the Harry Connick Jr. show. I was awarded the Cambridge Mayor's Luminary Award. I was a Boston Celtics Heroes Among Us recipient and an honorary captain. And I've also had countless opportunities to meet so many people making a difference in the world. Some things I've learned while doing my project. All the people we've helped have different backgrounds, genders, ages, identities, and they're really just all different people. And there are different reasons for homelessness. They might have had a falling out with their family, or they lost their home for whatever reason. But they are people just like you and me. And they really they just need a little kindness in their lives, which is one of our sort of mottos, is that people need kindness in their lives. We have had some future ideas that we are still working towards. We would like a food truck and or a kitchen so that we could make more food and deliver to more people. Possibly multiple chapters throughout the United States and even in other countries. And then an employment program, which we would be able to hire some of our friends on the street to help us make lunches and hand them out. And then this is a way to start your own service project. You can find a need. So homelessness, veterans, elderly, animal rights, or anything that means something to you or somewhere that you want to help. And also start simple. Don't try and do a huge event on your first day because you'll get overwhelmed and discouraged. Whereas if you start small and succeed, you won't feel as overwhelmed and you'll be inspired and encouraged. You also want to make it fun. So get your friends and family involved to help you and think creatively and use things that you already know and like to use in your own service project. And so we challenge you to make just one lunch this week for someone who may need just a little kindness in their lives. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. So if anyone has any questions, you can, I probably still have some time, so.
I don't know how to start. Dude, mad respect. That's amazing. I mean, I know you know this. I know you're aware of this. I want to take that advice you gave at the end, and I want you to teach a master's class in business organization, because that is so true. That is so universally true. Humans, we want to be a savior and we want to save the world, but we don't know how to put our own mask on first. Start small, then build. That is such great advice. Every young entrepreneur and inventor needs to see that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
I see you, dude. I see you. That's impressive. I am so inspired by your presentation. I'm sorry about the backlog, but I mean, it is what it is. We're communicating. I see you, you see me. That's all that matters. I wish I had the bandwidth to be monitoring YouTube right now. I'm sure it's blowing up. So what's next for you? I mean, I saw you want to move your program up. Besides the advice that you gave, which was good, by the way, if you had to do this over again, what would you do differently?
Like start my project over?
Yes, sir.
Well,
what have you learned?
There's so much that I've learned, some things in the presentation, but also really I learned from my mistakes. So we had an event and this is still going on. It's called the Million Lunch Challenge. And we had a goal to give away 1 million lunches in 1 year. And sadly, we were not able to do that because we weren't able to market it enough and not enough people participated. So
Yes.
right now we are just, by the time if Liam's Lunches of Love ever ends for whatever reason, we're hoping to give away at least 1 million lunches. And we're still challenging people to give away lunches as often as they can, but we understand that right now it's a really difficult time and there's still financial problems that people might have, or they might just be worried about going out. So we are still doing our best. As of right now, we have stopped serving hot food because we don't want too many people to congregate together, and we're trying to flatten the curve. So right now we're just giving away sandwiches, but hopefully soon we will be able to give away hot food. But to answer your question like more directly, I would just say I've learned that you have to you have to really plan stuff out before you launch it. Whereas I think that we didn't do enough planning for our Million Lunch Challenge, and I just think that's why it failed.
I love how much love you just showed yourself. There are people who see failure as a judgment, and you see failure as a data point and something to grow from. And you were kind to yourself. You didn't meet your goal, but you knew why, and you knew what you were going to do next. That's impressive. I know lots of grown adults who don't have that insight. So good for you for knowing that there's room for improvement. And I remind you that love, grace, and kindness are the only things in the world that don't have a cost. There's no price to them. They're free. And you've learned that some things have physical costs, but your intent and your desire to love is admirable. And no one can take that from you, dude. And more people need to understand that kindness and grace and love are free. What costs is your fear to give them. And that's the lesson I learned from you today.
Liam, can I ask you a technical question? Because
Yeah.
I've had a little bit of experience with what you're doing, but on a much, much smaller, much tinier scale. Did you run into any problems or issues about giving away food, health inspection issues? Did you have to get certified?
Yeah.
I mean,
There
restaurants
actually,
get inspected all the time. Did you run into
Yeah.
any issues?
We actually haven't, mostly because an organization called actually, I believe it was Food Not Bombs, which is an organization that Harvard runs. They actually, there was like a lawsuit or something against them, and they won, and therefore organizations that give away food, they don't necessarily need the same inspection as like a restaurant. So we haven't had any issues. We've been very careful, I can tell you that. We're wearing masks and gloves right now the entire time. And even before COVID, we were still wearing gloves when we were making food. And we just try and be as safe as possible.
Liam, your parents trained you with killer instincts. You have killer business instincts, dude. You know what your limits and horizons are, and you're navigating them beautifully. At 13, dude, mad respect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liam. We really appreciate you sharing your experience with us, and congratulations on all that you've done. And I don't have to wish you success in the future because it's a sure thing. You know?
I do have one last question for you, though, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
What piece of advice would you give to a young person who isn't as intelligent, not intelligent, but what's the word I want here, Jake? Extroverted and has such strong instincts. What piece of advice would you give them to get over their fear?
I mean, for me, when I started, I was terrified because I didn't know how people would react to when I gave them lunch. And even when I started public speaking, I was really nervous. But I would say it's really just about practicing. The first few times the first time, I believe it was the Harry Connick Jr. show was the first big thing that I did. I was so nervous, and I look back at it now, and I look back at the clip, and I see things that I said, and I was like, oh, I could have improved that, or like this was good, but this other thing could have been better.
You think about what you were nervous about and how ridiculous that was?
Yeah, I mean, like, even this is like a global event, and I'm not as nervous as I was when I went on the Harry Connick Jr. show, or when I was a hero among us for the Celtics.
Yeah, you learn quick, dude.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Liam.
Yeah.
Thank you, Liam. I'm very inspired. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this opportunity. It was amazing.
Of course.